Behind the glitz and glamour lies a dark truth. In this video, we will look at the ugly side of Victoria's Secret. From their use of underweight models to their alleged mistreatment of employees, we investigate whether Victoria's Secret is really the angelic company it pretends to be. Stick around till the end to find out. In the 1990s, Victoria's Secret was the hottest brand in America. Supermodels like Tyra Banks and Heidi Klum graced its catwalks, and its catalogs were must-reads for millions of teenage girls. But today, the company's in trouble. It has lost its way creatively, it's burdened by debt, and it's being overshadowed by newer, hipper brands like Rihanna's Savage X Fenty. In this video, we'll look at how Victoria's Secret went from being on top of the world to struggling to stay relevant. It all started with a man named Roy Raymond. In 1977, Raymond was working in a department store when he had the idea to create a lingerie store that would be more inviting for men than the typical department store experience. He opened the first Victoria's Secret store in San Francisco, and it was an instant hit. The store's elegant decor and attentive sales staff made shoppers feel comfortable, and its selection of lingerie was unlike anything else on the market. Raymond named the brand after the Victorian era, when women were expected to be demure and ladylike. To his surprise, the store was a huge success. Within a few years, he had opened several more stores and was generating millions in revenue. Raymond was soon overwhelmed by the success of his store and sold it to The Limited in 1982. Under Limited Brands, with CEO Leslie Wexner at the helm, Victoria's Secret became a national chain, and then shortly afterwards, a global one. Victoria's Secret became a powerhouse. It began expanding rapidly, opening stores across the United States. In the early 1990s, it launched its first line of beauty products. And in 1995, it debuted its now iconic fashion show, a yearly event that featured top models wearing the brand's lingerie on a runway. The show was televised, and it quickly became one of the most watched fashion events of the year. Under Wexner's leadership, Victoria's Secret became more than just a retailer. It became a cultural force. Its annual fashion show was a must-see on TV, and its catalogs were coveted by teenage girls across the country. At this point, the brand seemed unstoppable. What could possibly go wrong? Well, as it turns out, a lot. The Angel program was introduced in 1997. The Angels were a group of supermodels who represented the Victoria's Secret brand. They became the face of the company, and they helped to sell its sexy image to the world. Ed Rasnick was responsible for the Angel program, and he handpicked each of the models who would become Angels. His criteria? They had to be beautiful, of course, but they also had to have the right personality. The Angels were not just models, they were brand ambassadors, and Rasnick wanted them to be approachable and likable. The Angels were some of the most famous models in the world, and they helped to make Victoria's Secret one of the hottest brands around. They became household names, and as their fame grew, so did Victoria's Secret sales. Although Victoria's Secret seems like a place of beauty and luxury, former employees tell a different story. These women paint a picture of sexual harassment that was apparently tolerated by the company. As the years went on, some began to question whether or not the company was selling an unrealistic image of beauty. Gisele Bündchen was the most popular Angel, and she helped to make the Victoria's Secret fashion show into a global event. She wore the brand's iconic fantasy bra in the 2000 show, and she helped to turn the Victoria's Secret fashion show into a televised event. The fantasy bra became an annual tradition, and each year, a different Angel would wear it. From 2000 to 2017, the fantasy bra was worth an estimated $12.5 million. In 2000, Sharon Jester Turney became the CEO of Victoria's Secret. Through the early 2000s, she continued to grow the brand, and by 2006, it was generating billions in sales. It seemed like nothing could stop the Victoria's Secret juggernaut. But then, things began to change. In 2002, Victoria's Secret launched its Pink line, aimed at college-aged women. The line was a huge success, and it helped to boost the brand's sales. But as the recession deepened, Victoria's Secret sales began to decline. Turney made a fatal mistake. She failed to see the changing tides of public opinion. There were new trends emerging in the fashion world, and Victoria's Secret was no longer on the cutting edge. it was seen as old-fashioned and out of touch. In 2016, Victoria's Secret hired Jan Singer as its new CEO. Singer was tasked with turning the brand around, but she quickly realized that it would be a difficult task. The company was struggling to appeal to younger consumers, and it was losing market share to newer, hipper brands. Aerie, Third Love, and Lively are some of the more recent body-positive underwear brands that have taken a significant market share. No longer was Victoria's Secret the only option for lingerie, and shoppers were beginning to vote with their wallets. Alongside this, Rihanna introduced her Savage X Fenty line of lingerie in 2018. The brand was inclusive, it was body positive, and it was everything that Victoria's Secret wasn't. Rihanna's success proved that there was a new way to sell lingerie, and Victoria's Secret was caught flat-footed. If they weren't hurting enough, the Me Too movement also started to take off, and Victoria's Secret found itself on the wrong side of the issue. The brand had built its image on selling a very specific idea of sexiness, and it was now being accused of promoting an unhealthy and unrealistic standard of beauty. A former model, Ashley Graham, spoke out about the Victoria's Secret fashion show, saying that it was time for the brand to change its ways. She called out the company for its lack of diversity, and she said that it was sending a harmful message to young girls by perpetuating the idea that there is only one standard of beauty. Turney stepped down as CEO in 2016, and Wexner took back the reins of the company. He made hasty decisions, such as getting rid of the catalog and closing some stores in an effort to turn things around. But it was too little too late. Raznick found himself in hot water after making controversial comments about transgender models, and he was forced to step down as well. It was a public relations nightmare, and it further damaged the brand's image. Things came to a head when Jeffrey Epstein, a close friend of Wexner, was arrested and charged with sex trafficking. Epstein had been providing young girls to Victoria's Secret executives for years, and his arrest brought the company's dark secrets to light. It was the final nail in the coffin for Victoria's Secret. In 2020, Wexner announced that he was stepping down as CEO, and Victoria's Secret was sold to a private equity firm. The brand is now worth a fraction of what it once was, and its future is very much in doubt. John Mihas has since taken over as the CEO of Victoria's Secret. He has promised to make the brand more inclusive, but many feel that it's too little too late. The company is struggling to stay relevant in a world where its once revolutionary ideas about sexiness are no longer resonating with consumers. Since then, Victoria's Secret has been in freefall. Its sales have declined, its stock prices have tanked, and its once loyal customers have turned their backs on the brand. Recently, Victoria's Secret announced that it was canceling its annual fashion show, and it seems clear that the company is in serious trouble. Once the pandemic hit, Victoria's Secret was forced to close most of its stores, and it's now struggling to survive. Only time will tell if the company can make a comeback, but it seems unlikely. The Victoria's Secret brand has been tarnished, and its once bright future now looks very uncertain. It was the fall of an angel. Victoria's Secret is a cautionary tale about the dangers of complacency. It's a reminder that even the most successful brands need to keep innovating if they want to stay relevant. If Victoria's Secret doesn't figure out how to recapture its former glory, it may go the way of other once great retailers like Sears and JCPenney. Only time will tell. Do you think Victoria's Secret can stage a comeback? Let us know in the comments.